Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of RTHD. Thank you so much for viewing. In this episode, I want to review the Honor 7s, so stay tuned. And we're back. Okay, so what I have is actually a phone that I believe was created, in 2017. You might say, wow, that's kind of old. I agree with you. But I got this phone for less than 120, 130 US. It was about that price. And I thought that was really, really good because of the stats that you got for this phone and so forth. So what I'm talking about is the Honor 7s. And it's from Huawei. I hope I pronounced it correctly. Some people say Huawei. I believe it's Huawei, right? So the Honor 7s comes in a nice box. As you can see here, it was about 120 US dollars, so it wasn't very, very expensive. It's actually we got this for my mother-in-law actually, so it's not mine, but I got a chance to review it a little bit. So this is what it looks like in the box, and I want to read out some of the stats here. And this is why it for the price I thought it was kind of decent compared to a Samsung equivalent. There's some Samsung equivalents, but they come at a little bit lower stats and so forth. So this wasn't bad for the same. I believe there was the J2 Core, which was around the same price as this. So that's an alternative as well from Samsung. But basically this thing comes with a 5.45 screen, 5.45 inch screen, which is quite fairly large, not super large compared to nowadays phones, but fairly large. And what was kind of interesting is that it came with a 13 megapixel camera plus a 5 megapixel selfie camera. So the 13 megapixel is on the rear and the 5 megapixel is on the front, obviously, which is the selfie camera. And it came with 2 gigs of RAM, which I thought was great because I believe Google Assistant required 1.5 gigabytes of RAM to run. So this could definitely run Google Assistant. And it has 16 gigs of RAM, which means 16 gigs of memory. Not too much memory, but just enough to run. It also is dual SIM. And the battery is quite a large battery. It has a 3020 mAh battery. So this thing you would expect to be able to run, for at least a day without having to charge and have to worry too much about charging. So let's just get very quickly into opening the box. And this is what it looks like. It's already prepped. The person already prepped it up. It comes with normal glass. It doesn't come with Gorilla Glass. So we installed a tempered glass onto it, just so that it can't, if it decides to fall and so forth, it won't damage. This is the gold color. It is it's pink, but very, very slight. So it kind of reminds me more of like a silver, slight silver with a very low hint of pink. It comes with, as I said, this is the 13 megapixel camera with a flash, and the front is the 5 megapixel. So I did actually do a video. I was curious to see whether this thing would do well in low light. This obviously is the S10e that you're seeing here, but I'll be flipping into that video. Maybe we could flip into that video now and then we could return. So this is a test with the Honor 7s front camera. That's the selfie camera, I believe at 5 megapixels. This is what you could expect in low light. I have a light directly over me like this and the background light. As you can see, there's some green. I can't actually adjust whether this is a 1080p or not, so I can't, tell whether it's 720 or 1080, but this is just an example of what it looks like. So let's get back into the video. Guys, okay, this is just a little update of, I tested it. This is the 1080p version on the Honor 7s. It does a fairly decent job. There's some pixelation and so forth. Of course, this is in some level of lighting. To the left, I have some light there. To the right, no light. Right now, there's no light here. So that's kind of what it looks like. Not bad. A little slightly out of focus, but not bad. So this is just a demo. See how it goes. Right. So that's what you could expect from the 5 megapixel in the nighttime, right? So it's a bit granulated, but for daylight pictures, for what the average person might be using it for, it should be pretty fine. Let me just show you the screen, how bright the screen is. Let's get to go back. Right, so it's quite bright, as you can see here. It's adjusting, but yeah, it's quite bright. So definitely a beautiful screen, very responsive. There's no issue with response. A little bit, I would say the interface itself is a little slightly slow compared to the S10e, but I think now looking at it, I don't think that's the problem with the processor. I believe that this thing has an octa-core, if I'm not mistaken, processor, so definitely has good speed. And this thing has been on standby since yesterday, and it still has, how much percentage? More than 50% easy. So you know, standby wise, this thing is working really good. As I said, it's adjusting as well too. You may not be able to see it. Yeah, this thing has dual SIM, which many phones don't really have, and it comes with the interface itself is nice. It reminds me a little bit more of Apple, but I know it's not Apple, right? And let's have a look at what version Android this thing is running. So we just go down to system. And about right, so this thing is running 8.1.0, which is great. It says the CPU is MT6739, and resolution is 1440 by 720, and the security patch level is at 5th of May 2018. So this thing, you know, is fairly I would say fairly new in terms of what you get, and it has enough room for expansion per se, because you could also add an SD card as well to increase the expansion as well. It actually reminds me a lot, the options actually remind me a lot like the S10e, but with the exception of the camera, I think is the major difference between the S10e. Now you say, well, why review this phone? Well, as I said, the price was very important, because you know, sometimes a lot of the times we buy the most expensive phone. For example, the S10e was, and I'm not being a hypocrite by saying this, I bought the S10e because I wanted to do reviews and so forth as well. But sometimes you don't really need, as I said, to have the most expensive setup or buy the most expensive brand phone necessarily, even though Samsung is a very good brand. You know, if it's something especially for someone who may not be using most of the features and so forth, just going to be using the basic features, well, then you could just end up purchasing something that will last a fairly decent amount of time with enough stats. Because, for example, if you compare this to the S6, for example, the S6 I believe has around same amount of RAM, etc., but the S6 is obviously more expensive. So it all depends on your budget as well. So you don't always have to buy the most expensive equipment. It really depends on what you're going to be using it for. Unfortunately, as I said, I was hoping really that it would have been good enough to be recommended for YouTube videos, but unfortunately I cannot recommend it based on what you have seen before. And I'll maybe just show you back a little bit of the clip in terms of the pixelation that the camera was able to do. Remembering that it's a 5 megapixel camera, so we can't really expect too much, but it probably is something with the sensor as well, because these things are quite complex when it comes to camera settings and so forth. So that footage, it was actually the same lighting settings that I used for the S10e, but the S10e did an excellent job, of course. Even the S6 does a pretty good job. So if you have to do videos, I would say you don't have to choose the most expensive S10e or something like that, but I would recommend more the Samsung if you have to do YouTube videos and so forth, and you're going to be talking and that kind of stuff. So with that being said, guys, this is just a very short review of it. We could also probably look at what's in the box as well too. So the phone was here, and then when you open here, you get like inside, it's actually like a box inside here with some manuals. Probably won't be able to focus inside there. And then it has like the stickers. There's, of course, these headphones. These headphones are like really always these painful headphones. I don't know, they don't fit too well in my ears. These are the plastic ones, but definitely, you know, for the price you can't really complain too much. This comes with adapter, and that's pretty much all that is in the box. So not a bad phone for the price, I would say, right? So this is the Honor here, and this is my Samsung. You can see the brightness of the Samsung. You could see the brightness of the Honor. adjusting itself. Yeah. And as you can see, it's about, the Honor is actually more screen. You get more screen than the Samsung S6. So as you can see, the top area and the bottom area here, as opposed to the top area here is actually quite down here to the bottom area, which is about there, because this has you know, touch, well, physical buttons, but touch, right? Touch buttons. So you get more screen for phone with the Honor 7S, and you also, I believe, get more battery. I have to say the Honor S is, it feels heavier. The Honor S itself feels heavier. The good thing as well too about this phone is that it is not glass at the back, so that's kind of cool, because you know, a lot of times when you throw down the phone, and you may get a dent, but you won't get a cracked, you know, cracked glass as well too. And it's actually about the thinness, if not a little bit thinner than the S6. And I also have to say that I actually like the round edges. Some people may not, but I like the round edges. It's quite round and nice. And the buttons are very, very nice and soft. They have this, you know, it feels delicate, but not delicate to the point of, you know, being able to break, but it does have a nice feel to this phone, and it feels very perfect in the hand. I have to say that actually this thing feels about, okay, it is about the size, and comparing it to the S10e, yeah, it's actually a little like probably a few millimeters larger than the S10e. So yeah, not a bad phone. Definitely a phone that most people would be pretty okay with in terms of responsiveness and so forth, but video, not really. Camera, I would expect the 13 megapixel to be decent. So with that being said, guys, that's my very, very short review per se of the Honor 7S, a good phone for the price, but not for YouTube. With that being said, guys, thank you so much for viewing, and I'll see you guys again soon. Bye.